have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has his being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has his being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has his being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. I am the place where God. You are the place. Moves and breathes and has. We are the place.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our live stream service at Unity of the Blue Ridge. My name is Rev Christy Corna. I am the Associate Minister here at Unity of the Blue Ridge. We had planned for a beautiful outdoor service and opportunity. However, the weather and our intentions did not line up very well. So I'm glad that you're tuning in via live stream, and I just want to welcome you to today's service. And we're going to go ahead and light this candle. We light this candle as a reminder that there is always present within us a light and a love. So we invite you, if you have a candle at home that you would like to light in unity with us, that would be awesome. Again, a reminder of the light within each of us. Let us just open with a prayer. I invite you to close your eyes if you wish. And so we center ourselves in this divine knowingness that we are indeed the place where God shows up. That the love and the light and the peace and the wholeness, all the attributes of Spirit is alive at the point of each of us. And we gather this morning, this beautiful, rainy, cleansed morning, to understand at a deeper level and become even more aware of our divinity. That each of us is here on purpose. The light and the love that we are expresses fully and completely. And we open to a greater awareness and acceptance of that divinity within each of us. And in that, we recognize that in one another. And in that awareness and recognition, we are united at an even deeper spiritual level. And so we give thanks. We give thanks for the opportunity to come together. We give thanks for the technology which allows us to stay connected and supported. And so we simply open up and allow this day to unfold in all its infinite beauty with gratitude. And so it is. Amen. And so we're going to take a little step back in time and listen to Mary Kay Williams, one of our beautiful musicians, sing a song entitled, I Am New.
Now I won't deny the worst you could say about me, but I'm not defined by mistakes I have made, because God says of me, I am not because neither were willing to ever believe. I am not who I was, I'm being remade, I am new. I am blessed and holy, and I am dearly loved. I am new, I am new. Too long have I lived in the shadow of shame, believing that there was no way I could change. But the one who is making everything new doesn't see me the way that I do. Doesn't see me the way that I do. I am not who I was, I'm being remade, I am new. I am blessed and holy, and I am dearly loved. I am new, I am new. I am not who I was, I'm being remade, I am new, I am new. Dead to the old self, I'm coming alive. I am new, I am new. Created, beloved, expressing the Christ, made in the image of the giver of life. Blessed and holy, reborn and remade, accepted and worthy, this is our new name. Created, beloved, expressing the Christ, made in the image of the giver of life. Blessed and holy, reborn and remade, accepted and worthy, this is our new name. This is who we are now.
Mary Kay Williams, thank you so much. And you know that's true. Every day we are made new, and we are blessed and holy in every way. So as you are aware, we are in the midst of a book study series. It's a wonderful series, a beautiful book called Pillars of Joy. And I just find it fascinating. And today we'll be talking about acceptance. And I'm going to share a little bit about what my experience with acceptance is and what acceptance is not. And sometimes I've had to learn that the hard way, as we all do. I wanted to share with you a couple of quotes. In the Book of Joy, it says, "Acceptance is the sword that cuts through all this resistance, allowing us to relax, to see clearly, and respond appropriately." You see, when we get to that point of acceptance with whatever we are faced with, there's a moment, at least within myself, that I'm able to just stand still and maybe even take a step back and realize, okay, whatever is being presented before me, whatever triggers, whatever excitement, whatever's going on, there's a point where I recognize, okay, this is what's going on. And then I have the opportunity to open into this sacred space. And it is in that sacred space, which all the other pillars leading up to this have pointed out, there's an opportunity to always create sacred space. And in doing so, then we open to infinite possibilities. Then we open to the divine wisdom within each of ourselves. And what a wonderful place to be. in that field of infinite possibilities. And there's a quote by Eckhart Tolle that says, "Accept, then act. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you have chosen it. Always work with it, not against it. This will miraculously transform your whole life." And so I've been focusing on acceptance all week, and as with any message that I go to share, I get to the point where I realize it's morphing every day, and the reason for that is because of my own experiences that I'm going through and my own awakening and my own shifting perspectives. And I realize that every pillar that has been discussed in the weeks previous from this book is in perfect alignment. First, we spoke about perspectives and how when we shift our perspective and open up to the possibilities of seeing the bigger picture, that so much more becomes available to us. And then the second one is humility. And with humility, for me personally, it kind of feels a little bit like a vulnerability, but in humility, I like to look at it as leveling the playing field. It's like, I'm not better than or less than, you're not better than or less than. And when we realize to the point that we're all just, as Ram Dass says, walking each other home, that it kind of does level that playing field. And then that gives us common ground to move forward with. And then last week, Reverend Darlene spoke about humor, and one thing I know about myself is that there's always an opportunity for me to be a little bit lighter, to lighten up. I remember one time a while back in a therapy session, actually, I was talking about all my inner work, and it was pointed out that perhaps while I'm so serious and doing all this inner work that I should play and lighten up and joke around and be, a little bit more playful. And my response to that was, "Oh, okay, I'll have to work on that." And they were like, because I injected the word work again. And so what I've had to learn over the years from that is that it's not all struggle. And just because I'm doing my inner work, it only means that I'm awakening and shifting and growing, and I have the willingness to remain teachable. I have the willingness to do what's mine to do, however I'm called forward to do that work. And that can be just as much injected with humor and playfulness as struggle. I always love the phrase, "no mud, no lotus." And I realized for many years in my life I was stuck on the mud part. And for me, I've learned to look at it as the focal point for me is actually the lotus. Because all the stuff that's stirring underneath is what's feeding it and sending nutrients to it, allowing it to grow as the flower blooms and then reaches up toward the light. And I like to look at myself as that lotus. I'm always reaching for the light. And no matter what's going on under the surface, there's always that beautiful essence of who I am that is always growing outward and upward and reaching for the light. So I invite you to consider looking at that metaphor. I tend to look at all life as a metaphor, and when I see little teachings like that, something stirs inside of me. And so I was thinking about that, no mud, no lotus. But they all work together. It's like the good and the bad, and whatever seems to be going on in our life, this idea of acceptance is to really recognize it for what it is. So when we move into discussing acceptance, I was looking at this from many, many angles, and personally, things that I've been moving through in my life, I can use the phrase, and I do hear myself say this, it is what it is. But what's important to remember when I hear myself say, well, it is what it is to not stop there, to not accept and just say, there's nothing to do here, because there's always something to do. Whether it's shifting my reaction to it, whether it's shifting my perspective about it, whether it's opening up to the possibility of change and options to move through it. And I looked up the meaning of acceptance, and it says, the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. And so it's not consenting to what's going on. It's not giving in to that. It's giving yourself consent to receive that information and to undertake a new action. And so the first part of that for me is really about stepping back. You know, it's been really a crazy year. If you look at the year 2020, there's just so much that's been going on. And it's easy for any one of us, I think, to get caught up in what's going on out there. I know that my biggest obstacles to the experience of joy, to the experience of peace, is when I am living at the effect of what's going on outside. Because the real power to do anything, to make any change, to live the life of joy and peace and love and harmony that I want to live, that I aspire to live by, comes from within. And so it's about stepping back for me and just giving that sacred pause, if you will. Reverend Darlene often says the pace of grace. And so lately I've been saying, okay, space of grace, pace of grace. And that gives me that pause. I love little one-liners that I can just interject while my thoughts are going like this. And I came across a quote by Steve Maraboli, who is just someone I love to read. He's very real and very clear and really hits home with me, if you will. And there was a quote on acceptance that says, acceptance makes an incredible fertile soil for the seeds of change. And that's really the title of the book, or the chapter. It's acceptance, the only place where change can begin. And so when I got to thinking about that, I thought one of my biggest obstacles is in the moment I feel triggered, it's usually fear or anxiety or anger that comes up. And what I have to recognize within myself is that that's just getting my attention. Doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's bigger than I am. I know that my faith is bigger than I am, so I do my best to move from fear to faith. Resistance. I will often say, don't push the river. And sometimes I do that. I get in and I'm like, okay, I got to fix this, I got to change it, I got to do something about it, and that's where all my controlling tendencies tend to come in. And over the years, I've learned to really relax a bit. And I think that that's just dependent on the level that I'm feeling with the trigger, whatever that trigger is. So we can look out at our world. This year's been a crazy year, and there's a lot to be paying attention to. And there's a lot that we can get really riled or triggered with, and that's an opportunity to look at what's going on, look at the facts that are being presented, and then take a pause and say, what is mine to do here? And the other thing I was thinking about acceptance was, I tend to think of it with something's going on. I'm presented with an emotional challenge, whether it's a relationship or work or financial, or, it doesn't matter if it's a diagnosis. It doesn't matter if my car is acting up. It's whatever I'm being presented with is giving me the opportunity to respond differently. And that's just so important. There's well, first, I just want to share a little bit of what acceptance is not. So, acceptance is not agreement. So you don't have to agree with what's happening, but to at least recognize it and give pause to say, okay, what changes need to be made here? Acceptance is not acquiescence. So it's, there are things happening that really go against my value system, that may just inspire some fear in me. And it's not just giving into that. It's about, again, becoming aware. And very important, acceptance is not weakness. You see, it takes a lot of courage to really look at ourselves, to look at what's going on, and to be in the moment and respond in a way that brings us together, that uplifts, that inspires. And I think that level of constant vigilance really takes a lot of courage. So acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is not giving up. So it's not giving in and surrendering and taking the stance of, oh, well, there's nothing that can be done. You know, as I said before, it is what it is. You know, I don't want to stop there. It is what it is. And, you know, there's some action that I can take. I know there is. I may not have the answers right now. I may be in a state of confusion right now, but I know that clarity is here now. I know that divine wisdom is always guiding me forward. So I always have that opportunity. And as the two teachers in this book, Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama say, you know, this is about cultivation. This is about practice. And I think that any spiritual practice is just that. It's like, as often as possible, stay in a state of awareness, at least this has been my experience, where I'm always being called higher, I'm always being called forth to perhaps respond in a more compassionate, loving, harmonious way. And that's really what I always have aspired to do. You know, my aspiration is to live a life that is one of harmony and laughter and love and ease. And does that mean that life is not messy? Of course not. Life can seem messy sometimes, but I know that with every challenge that I've ever faced in my life, I have moved through that. So again, acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is not quitting. There's, I remember a talk that I heard, actually it was Rev Darlene's talk one time about giving up, and giving up not in a way of surrender, but in actually lifting up and giving up, so that there is a level of, okay, I don't know what to do with this right now, so I'm giving it up to a higher consciousness. And that has always stuck in my head. So if you ever hear yourself say, I give up, I invite you to just go, oh yeah, I'm going to give it up to a higher awareness. I'm going to give it up to spirit, to God. I'm going to give it upward to a higher level of thinking, so that resolution then can come forth. And acceptance is not quitting. As I said, acceptance is not resignation. So I came across an article, it's by Megan Bruno, and she's a psychotherapist in New York City and a wellness writer. And she had an article, 5 things everyone should know about acceptance. Number 1 is acceptance does not mean liking, wanting, choosing, or supporting whatever's going on. So again, that's that aspect of, if we're moving through something, to not necessarily resist it, but not say, okay, you know, I'm in agreement with this. So there's always an opportunity to stand for love. There's always an opportunity to stand in your power and hold steadfast to your values and your beliefs. And so, you know, it's important to anchor ourselves, I think, in that awareness. And so resistance, pushing the river, if you will, is what we resist persists, as the saying goes. So if I'm resisting something, I'm just perpetuating the problem. I guess at this point, I'm engaged, so I can call him my step-grandson. Anyways, he's 4 years old. We were baking cookies yesterday, and he wanted to hear music. And don't you know, all kids love Let It Go from the movie Frozen. And I was just thinking about the idea of letting go, and what does that mean? And then later we watched the movie Hocus Pocus, and there was a line in there about something about, I don't know, the witches can't change because they sold their soul. And I thought, you know, how many times have I resurrected or had come alive again an aspect of me that I just keep rehashing over and over and over in my mind, and that level of obsession then gives way to kind of selling out to fear. And again, everything's a metaphor. So I was looking at that movie and going, and it's really been a lot of fun. But this whole idea of letting go is, it's very important. It's very important in me not wanting to control the situation and me thinking that all the pressure's on me to fix it or that there's something wrong with me. And the idea of acceptance, too, I want to interject here, is what I know about myself. It's not just the triggers. It's not just the yucky stuff. It's not when I feel there's a challenge before me, no matter what it is, what level. I have to look at, am I willing to accept the goodness? Am I willing to accept the good in my life? Or do I resist that as well? Because as long as I'm building up a resistance or a pushing against, I'm not allowing the room for life's blessings to flow into my life. And my life is so divinely blessed that I have so much gratitude. Yet I think it's kind of, I don't know, human nature to kind of focus on what's not working rather than what is working. So use gratitude as a tool. Gratitude gets me out of the depths of despair in an instant. Look around. 3 things, 5 things that I'm grateful for, that I feel blessed about, and that anchors me in this divine well-beingness, if you will. So again, when we resist, we're just pushing against that experience of the fullness of our joy. Another thing to remember is acceptance is an active process. So accept is a verb. So this idea of acceptance is, there's a level of constant awareness and vigilance and courage and activity that takes place. In the book, there's a quote that says, the kind of acceptance that the Dalai Lama and the Archbishop were advocating is not passive. It is powerful. It does not deny the importance of taking life seriously, and working hard to change what needs changing, to redeem what needs redemption. So you must not hate those who do harmful things. The compassionate thing to do is do what you can to stop them. So if I'm presented with a challenge, then the compassionate thing to do for myself and others, if others are involved in this situation, is to, how can I bring love to this? You know, a question I ask myself often is, what would love do? What would love do here? And so, I have to look and make sure that I'm not making it about them and stepping outside of myself or pointing the finger. Another quote from Steve Maraboli is, blame is the creed of the disempowered. So I always want to come from a point of empowerment, which is power in a way, but it's inspired power, and therefore inspired action. And therefore my words will be inspired wording, and my expression will be inspired expression. And that's always what I'm longing to do. Do I fall short of that sometimes? Absolutely. Absolutely. However, I just feel called to just raise myself a little higher in each moment, whether it's accepting the blessings, whether it's accepting a challenge. The third point that she points out is acceptance doesn't mean that you can't work on changing things. And that's the point of stepping back that I referred to, that we can look at something seemingly challenging and pause for a moment and know that we can be inspired to right action. And that is authentic action for me. That is what is mine to do. But I also have to be teachable and willing to listen to what's being presented to me so that I have all the options available to me and utilize that in a way that benefits myself and benefits the higher good of all, if you will. There are many challenges that I've had in my life. Many of you know about 40 years ago, I was in a motorcycle accident, and the injury from that was a head injury, and I had short-term memory loss for 2 years. It was very challenging. There were things that I had to learn differently. There were things that I had to take my time with. And in the beginning, I was caught up with being very aware of that and feeling the frustration of that, and at the same time, kind of oblivious to it. So the two would kind of like make life confusing for a little bit. And so, there are certain things that I had to reteach myself. There are certain things I had to learn that, were a result of what happened, but that whatever happened did not define who I was. And that was a point of real awakening for me. So then I just, I stood up and I just did what I needed to do to move forward in a new way. And when I look back on that, right, they say hindsight is 20/20. When I look back on that, I think of the courage and the tenacity that is involved in such an undertaking to just grow and change. And that was a physical challenge for me. And I remember talking to the doctor and saying I wanted to go back to school someday, and the doctor said, I don't want you to get your hopes up around that. And then, many years later, I got my master's degree, and the irony of that, and this is where humor is one of the pillars, is when you can look and see the irony of a situation. It's like something was so challenging for me physically and mentally, and then I was told, don't get your hopes up. Don't put that level of pressure on yourself because I'm not sure you're going to be able to do that. Years later, I got my master's degree in all things consciousness studies. So that irony for me just reminds me that you never know. Anything is possible. But what changed for me was that acceptance and the willingness to open up to the guidance and the love and the support and yes, the pace of grace, because it was quite a lengthy process, probably a couple of years. I even had to teach myself how to write in cursive again, and that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. But it gave me a whole new relationship with myself, if you will. It gave me a whole new relationship with my faith. It gave me a whole new relationship with life, because I realized I get to bring myself to life differently now. And it was actually very empowering. That's my personal story. On a more general level, when we are faced with challenges, we always have the opportunity to respond to it differently. But it's that minimal point of acceptance where we get to just step back, take a breath, let it go, and open up. And I think the opening, that space that it creates, is where all the magic happens. That's where creative energy then flows in. And so what I learned from that was a whole new level of faith and confidence and clarity in my own divinity and capabilities and potentiality. And I recognize that in each of us, that in every moment there is that infinite possibility and the potential to life to change like that it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful gift. And sometimes it just takes me slowing down enough to do that. The fourth one is acceptance doesn't mean you're accepting it's going to be this way forever. And that's the point. It's like, this too has come to pass. Well, you've got to remember that it's passing as you're going through it. And whether it's good or it's bad, life is transitional. Life is always fluid. Life is always moving and changing and shifting. And Desmond Tutu in the book says, we are meant to live in joy. This does not mean that life will be easy or painless. It means that we can turn our faces to the wind and accept the storm that we must pass through. We cannot succeed by denying what is. When going through something unpleasurable, the question is not, how do we escape it? It is, how can we use this for something positive? And that is how I choose to shift my perspective. And that all comes with acceptance. So remain curious, remain open, ask questions, create a new understanding. What is standing under motivating your actions and your responses and how you are bringing yourself to life? The last one that this woman points out is we can practice acceptance toward our experience, people, appearance, emotions, ideas, and more. So it's not just applied to challenges, it's applied to everything. It's like, oh, okay, so this is what's going on. how might I shift my perspective about that? How might I respond to this differently? How might I come from a point of love and bring that love and light into the situation without giving into the situation, without denying it, right? The old phrase, denial is not a river in Egypt. It's true. When I deny something, I'm not even giving it a chance. I want to meet life where life is at. And I want to meet life where life is at with a sense of joyfulness, with a sense of peace, with a sense of love. So there is a quote by Robert Benno from Soul Speak, and I love this. In the experience of your soul, in the eternity of spirit, there is no rush. There is no such thing as time. The part of us that is human and lives in fear can become irritated or agitated about needing to be somewhere or do something. And that restlessness may fuel action or bring adventure, but it rarely brings peace. Allowing yourself the space to be, to feel, and to move through life from your heart brings far greater contentment. And indeed, when you see it is not possible to ever miss out on anything, you are free. So the freedom that comes with this idea of acceptance, again, not giving in, not being in agreement with whatever's going on, but it's more for me an allowance and an opening and creating that space for spirit to flow in and through and as me. So the way I practice acceptance is to be as present as possible, to consider that the bigger picture, if you will, which is where perspective comes in, that beyond what seems to be going on, there is something greater, and that the power of the divine in life, this energy that spins the planets in their place, is the same one that is activated in my life, and to tune into that. Affirmative prayer, I'm big on that. Breathe, relax, meditation. Another tool that I use is the serenity prayer. It's not just for 12-steppers. It's for every one of us. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that's a wonderful tool to keep me actively open, if you will, in change and inspiration. And stop resisting. Stop pushing against the river and relax a bit in my faith. And in that space is where grace comes in. And I think a pivotal point for me in the practice of acceptance is in letting go. And so in letting go, I get to take that sacred pause. Not giving in, not surrendering, not in agreement with, but opening to the fact that whatever is before me, I have the opportunity to let go of this idea of fear. I have this opportunity to let go of my anxiety. I have the opportunity to move forward in a way that love would have me do. And life keeps us on our toes, doesn't it? And so this idea of letting go doesn't have to be all effort and struggle. It doesn't have to be, grandiose. It can be quiet and simple and at the point of beauty and spirit within each of us. So letting go is more about letting go of the control for me and opening up to the gifts of spirit. And I wanted to share with you a poem. It's attributed to Ernest Holmes, who is he's a co-founder he is a founder of the Science of Mind, and it's just a beautiful poem. And it speaks of acceptance and letting go in a way that doesn't take a whole lot of noise. It's quiet, it's simple, it's a beautiful shift within each of us. So I invite you to close your eyes and take in these words if you so choose. It's entitled She Let Go. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming about her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons. Wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of all the planning and of all the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let it go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let it go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line, but in a moment, without uttering a word, she just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort, no struggle. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It just was what it was, and was just that. So in the space of letting go, she let all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. And what I love about that reading in particular is all the things that I think I have to do to move beyond something, to move through something, to accept, to let go, to bring myself rather to a higher place, a more open space, where that divine grace and presence of spirit is alive and well and guiding me in every way. Doesn't have to be a big thing. It's often in those quiet, peaceful moments within ourselves that we meet life wherever it's at. And so in this coming week, I invite you to take a breath and relax into the fullness and awareness that is your life. Any challenges, take a breath, let it go. Open up to the possibility and potentiality that life is offering in every moment. Take a look around and count your blessings. May we always be aware of that divine light and love within each of us, and see life as the gift that it is, and call ourselves to a higher level of being that answers the question, what would love do here? So can I bring myself to that point of acceptance where life is before me wide and clear, and I know exactly what to do in the moment, exactly how to support my well-beingness, exactly how to love and support those in my life, exactly what steps to take next that'll bring me closer to the fullness of my own divinity and beingness. And so may this week be blessed with the perfection of joyfulness and the awareness of our own divinity. And again, always taking a stand for love, always being in the presence of love, always expressing ourselves as love. And when I can accept my life in that way, I know that all is well with my soul. And so may you have a blessed week. And in this sacred space of acceptance, enjoy the freedom, and the peace that comes with that. I thank you for this opportunity to share with you this morning. Please join us next week for our live stream with Reverend Darlene. May you have a wonderful week. And thank you so much for your continued support. We've made it really easy for you to support our spiritual community. And there's so much available and so much going on with our Raise the Roof project and so much going on with opportunities to stay connected. So be sure to visit our website for that. May you have a week filled with love and blessings, acceptance and beauty. And right now, we're going to listen to our very own Cat Williams and other musicians. I believe there's Mary Kay and Reverend Darlene and Rhoda in this video, as well as Cat Williams, taking a stand for love. Namaste.
Ready to stand for love this morning? Here we go. I will stand, stand for love. I will stand, stand for love. 'Cause I know I can be strong for love. Yes, I know I can be strong for love. Gonna stand for peace. I will stand, stand for peace. I will stand, stand for peace. 'Cause I know I can be strong for peace. Yes, I know I can be strong for peace. Let's play it on the piano, Richard. Yeah. Play it, Dave. Yeah, let's hear it on the saxophone. Yeah. I will stand for you. I will stand for you. 'Cause I know I can be strong for you. Yes, I know I can be strong for you. Gonna stand for love again. I will stand for love. Lift your voice. I will stand for love. 'Cause I know I can be strong for love. Yes, I know. Yes, I